Today on our 2016 Ford F350 Super Cab, we're going to take a look at and show you how to install the B&W turnover ball underbed gooseneck trailer hitch with the custom installation kit. Part number is BWGNRK1111. Here's what our gooseneck's going to look like installed and when not in use. As you can see, this is going to leave us full access to our truck bed, which is really nice. That's why we've got our trucks. We can haul stuff around and things like that. When we're ready, we simply pull out on the latch that we've got on the side, turn it into the locked position. Then it's just a matter of pulling out our square shank ball. This is 2 5/16 of an inch in diameter. That gets slid right down and in. And then when we release that handle we just pulled, that 5/8 diameter pin is going to go right through the center of there. That's what's going to keep our ball held down in place. Now this is going to offer a 7,500 pound vertical load limit. So that's the maximum downward force we can put here on our ball. And it's going to give us a 30,000 pound gross trailer weight rating. Now of course we do want to look into the owner's manual of our truck, see what it's rated for, and we'll go off of whichever of those numbers are the lowest. But your gross trailer weight rating, that's going to be the total weight of your trailer and then anything that you've got loaded in it. To make our connections, we've got our spring-loaded safety chain anchors here, you can see. Held down nicely when not in use to prevent any noise or anything like that, but easily available so we can just pull them up, make our chain connections, and we're ready to head down the road with our trailer. Now the ball itself, this is machined from a single piece. It's going to be very, very solid and it's going to offer us great durability. You can see we've got the squared base here. This is to prevent our ball from turning while it's in use or while we're hooking up to it. And as an added benefit, it has the corners only fit. That's going to reduce any grime or dirt buildup that we might often get, whether it's going to be in your towed position or in the stored position. As far as the installation goes of our hitch, it's kind of a nice setup. We're only going to be required to drill 5 holes. We've got 1 each side of our safety chain connection points and then 1 for the head itself. This installation requires no welding or frame modifications at all. Here you can see the latch handle. This is in the unlocked position. We're simply going to rotate that counterclockwise and allow it to slide right in. That's going to secure our gooseneck ball, our 5th wheel if we've got it in there, or even the ladder rack that we've got available. To release it, we're simply going to pull out, turn it clockwise just a little, and it's going to sit into that little notch that we saw from the underside. Here you can see our side plates. These are custom designed for this application. It's really nice. All of our large holes or our smaller holes that are going to come through are pre-drilled in the frame, so there's no modifications required. And they've even got cutouts and everything for any little bolt heads or anything like that that we'll need clearance for. These custom brackets really make installation an easier process. Now to prepare our truck, we want to get our spare tire down and out of the way. Now what we're going to do is mark our center point and our distance from the rear of the bed up here to the front. We want to look in the instructions. That's going to tell us how far from the very back edge of the bed we need to come forward. Now there's already a hole here that's been pre-marked out. We can see how close it is. It looks like it's just a little shy of the exact mark we need. So we'll be going right in front of that for our application, but definitely verify it on yours. And then I hope that that hole is centered, but we'll double check that as well. Yeah, that looks real good. So we're going to use the hole as our center mark going this way, and then we're going to be just in front of the hole going this way. Now each application may be a little bit different, so measure yours a couple times, make sure it's right, and then make your cut. What we're using today is going to be just our 4-inch hole saw. Now we'll just vacuum up all these shavings so we don't track them all over the bed. Now in some applications, your spare tire is going to be right here. There's going to be a heat shield that goes around it here. As you can see, ours isn't equipped, but if yours is, go ahead and take that out. If not, you're likely going to hit your head on it. And then the next thing we'll need to do is lower down this exhaust bracket here. We've got a bolt that goes right up in the bottom, and then the one that comes in from the outside. Now we've got a couple hangers up forward there so we won't have to worry about supporting it. We just want to get it down and out of the way. Now we need to look above our exhaust here, and what we're going to do is pull down this heat shield that runs along the bottom side of the bed. Now here in the wheel well, we're going to make a small modification to the flange that runs right here. The wheel well side of the bed comes down to the bottom of the bed. We've got our front cross member right here. From that point, we're going to measure back 1.5 inches. It'll put us right there. Now from here, we need to create a notch. It's going to be triangular in shape. It's going to be 7/8 of an inch wide, 3/8 of an inch tall. So 3/8 is going to put me about right there. And to get 7/8, I'll come in 1/16 on each side by holding it half. And then come to the last 16th on each side. We can get rid of that little yellow area. Now we're going to grab our rear rail. Our rear rail is going to have 2 notches on one end. Typically, our forward rail is just going to have 1 notch on either end right here. The rear has the additional notch. We want to put the oblong holes towards the front. We'll slide that on across. Now we'll allow this to rest here, then we can go underneath and guide it in the rest of the way. Now over here on this outside, we'll need to guide it up and over our shock mount there. And we'll turn it, and we can slowly slide it back. It'll ultimately wind up about 4 inches behind our main hole. We'll just let it rest there for right now. Now we'll slide in our front cross member, although this time we want to be sure that those oval holes are facing the rear of the vehicle. Then again, we'll guide it over in position. Then we can grab our center section. This is going to slide up above there. We want to be sure that the side with the spring and the release latch is pointed towards the driver's side. Now we can slide that center section up over our exhaust. We want to just loosely line up our hole location there. And then we're going to take one of our bolts, apply one of the flat washers, and we want to go through the cross member. Once it comes through our center section, we'll add on a lock washer and one of our hex nuts. All right, we'll just leave those loosely installed for now. And we'll get the rest of our hardware started. We'll have one on the outside, middle, and outside on each of the front and back cross members. You can see 1, 2, and 3. Now there's a little clip that's holding up the vent tube for the rear axle here. I'm going to pull that down. That typically makes it easier to adjust our rear bar here. We're going to be doing the same thing here. Now that we've got that rear brace installed, we can go ahead and just clip our vent right back up there. All right, now we're onto the side plates. We're basically gonna put these right in between the two angle brackets we installed. We're gonna put bolts right through there to hold them in place, the front and the back. Grab our bolts, slide it into position. We want a flat washer on our bolts coming in from the outside. Then on the inside here, we put on a lock washer and another one of our nuts. Now again, just gonna leave these loosely installed. Now here on the passenger side, we're gonna have our yellow jounce bumper. Right above that's gonna be an elongated hole that goes through the frame. We're gonna take our 3/4 inch bolt and our standard washer. We're gonna place that through. And once we have it partially through, we need to take one of the spacers and slide that on. And then we're okay to bring it right through our side plate. Once we've got it through the side plate, 3/4 inch lock washer, and that's gonna go on. Now we'll do the same thing for the driver's side, only this time we'll use the unusual washer that's a rectangle shape. Then we'll take another one of our 1/2 inch bolts and we're gonna place one through the forward hole location in our side plate. We wanna first go through our frame, it'll come out our side plate, and also in the rear location. Then to those, we're gonna add a flat washer. Add on our lock washer, and also our nut. Now we're going to do that for the rear here as well, and the same 2 locations over on the driver's side. Now we're ready to snug down the bolts that are going to hold the center section to our cross members. We have 3 on the back, 3 on the front. Once we've got them snugged down, we can torque them down to the specifications we'll find in the instructions. Now we can take just a quick look to be sure that we have our head centered in the hole location. Now it's time to get our 3/4 inch bolts tightened down. Again, refer to your instructions and find your torque specification there so you can get it done right. Now we're ready to tighten down our 1/2 inch side plate bolts. And we can torque those down to the appropriate specification as well. Now lastly, we'll tighten down the bolts that hold our cross members to our side plates. Now we're going to take our handle, we're going to slide it right above the frame, and on the driver's side there's going to be a little U shape that's cut out of the center section. It's going to go right through there, and we'll line that up with the flange inside here. Now we'll take our carriage bolt, we're going to place that in. It's going to go through our handle, then we've got our flange nut to go on the other side. And then we want to snug down our bolt. And we just want to make sure that we don't crush the handle itself. There you can see we've got full operation of our handle there. Locks out for removing and installing our accessories. And then we simply turn it counterclockwise Then that pin's gonna go through and secure whatever item that we've got in there in. Now for the safety loops, we've got 4 1/2-inch holes to drill up through. We're gonna have 2 sets of holes on each side of our center section. We've got some on the outside here, some on the inside. Now the ones on the inside are the ones we wanna use. They actually come down in the lower portion of the bed, so it's gonna keep it as flush as possible. So use our 1/2-inch drill bit and go on up through. Now we're going to take our U-bolts and we're going to pass them through each side there. You see how that's going to allow them to lay pretty flush with the bed. Then we'll go down to the bottom side, attach our hardware. We'll just slide our spring right up over the U-bolt. We've got our locking nuts that we'll get started on there. We'll do that for all 4 threads that are sticking down. Now we'll run our nuts down so they sit flush with the bottom of our U-bolts. We'll just take a quick check and make sure those can move freely up and down, which they do. Now for our exhaust relocation, we're going to bring in the bracket that's supplied for us to use to do that. We're also going to have a 1/4-inch carriage bolt that needs to go through the bracket and then through the frame, or the factory bracket. On the back of that, we'll go a flange nut. Now for the bottom location, we're going to use a 5/16" carriage bolt, also with a 5/16" flange nut. And we'll rotate our bracket so that it aligns with the 2 holes here in our frame. Between the bracket and the frame, we need our spacer in there. Let's move our carriage bolts through. Put our spacer in place. And we'll take our carriage bolt. We're going to bring it through. We're using the top set of holes in our bracket. Just get that aligned. We've got a flange nut that's going to thread on there. Now we'll need to rotate our spacer up and get our other carriage bolt through it. Now to help that align, I'm going to use a small screwdriver. Be able to bring that right through that. Then we can get them snugged down. And if we want to, we can pull off this little P-clip that's right here and keep that with our factory hardware in case we ever change this up. Now with our spare tire back in place, that's going to complete today's installation of the B&W turnover underbed gooseneck trailer hitch with the custom installation kit, part number BWGNRK1111 on our 2016 Ford F350.